everyone, Missbuttahb here, and I hope that you all are having a wonderful day. Today's topic, this confession of a believer, it's about weight loss. And today I want to share my weight loss story, journey, however you want to put it with you. Now, if you've come here to look for, to see nutrition facts, my weight loss regimen as far as the foods I eat or the exercise routine I've adopted, this is not the video for you. If you want, I can do a video on it, a separate video on that to talk about my regimen and my habits. But this video today talks about my inner struggle and the inner things that I've had to overcome to be successful in my weight loss journey, and how my relationship with God has influenced my successes and my failures. So let's get started. I have always been a thickums. I won't say that, but I have always been a thickums my entire life. I have been medically what is considered obese probably since the age of 8 years old. I learned at a very young age that I could receive instant gratification and a type of pleasure from food and the taste of food and, you know, the way that it made me feel. I started getting teased for being slightly chunky in the third grade. And so when I was getting teased for being a little chunky, I learned to go to food to make myself feel better, temporarily. And so I went from a little chunky to a lot of chunky, okay? I was harshly teased / bullied probably from the third grade until maybe my sophomore year of high school, in my neighborhood, on the bus, at school, to the point where even my friends joined in. You know, kids will be kids, and the point that I would join in myself because it was a defense mechanism. And all of my friends know I have a very quick wit, very good at comebacks and getting people, quote unquote, and that all developed as my defense from being teased because of my weight. Whenever things would go on at school or at home, if I had home problems, I would turn to food. And now I want to say that my parents and my family were very supportive in trying to get me help as far as my weight. My mother's a nurse, and she would take me to see nutritionists, and my father would always get us out, me and my sister out, to do activities, and they put me in recreation sports and cheerleading and basketball, and I did track. I was on the step team. You know, I was very active, but I always went back to food. And even as a child, I would wait till everyone was asleep to sneak in the kitchen and eat, because I thought nobody would know, and that caused very excessive weight gain in my adolescent years. So even when I stopped getting bullied, then I started relationships with boys, and I got a boyfriend, and when things would go bad with my boyfriend, I would go to food for that. Then I went to college, and I still had a boyfriend, a long-distance boyfriend. So you put the stress of being in a long-distance relationship where infidelity was going on, when being in stressful of being a college student, where food is ever present in the fast food restaurants that surround me, and you know, a lot of social events involve food. I was heavy. By the time I graduated my undergrad, in 2012, spring 2012, I was at the highest weight I have ever been in my life. So when I graduated and I would see pictures of myself from the past and what I was at then, I was just so embarrassed. I've always had problems with insecurity. I have always had problems with my self-esteem and valuing myself, my physical appearance, and what I thought I was worth. And I finally decided that I really needed to do something about my weight. So the summer after my graduation, I started really working out. Now, let me be clear. Ever since maybe junior high, I would do up and down as far as weight. When I would get out from school during the summer, I would really get intense and working out. I would lose maybe 10 to 20 pounds, but when school started back, I would gain it all back. It wasn't consistent, and it was using quick schemes to lose weight, so they never stuck, and I never really learned how to truly necessarily healthily lose weight until later on in life. So fast forward back to after I graduated from my undergrad institution, and I was heading on my way to my graduate institution here. So I decided to really get intense with my weight loss. By the time I had came to undergrad, I had lost 10 pounds, and my first semester of being in graduate school, I lost another 30 pounds. And what had happened during that time is I had really decided that I was going to get seriously commit to my relationship with God. Okay, now there's a reason that when I decided to commit to my relationship with God, it was seen in my entire being. It came out in my physical, because what I was forced to do was really sit down and be honest with myself to say, Brittany, where do these eating habits come from? And they come from emotional eating. And they came from emotional eating that happened so routinely that when I stopped eating emotionally, I had already developed those habits of just eating food and eating food for no reason at all. And so it was a implemented system of how I dealt with things, right? And so when I started developing my relationship with Christ, the first year, let's say 2012, 2013, my weight loss success was so wonderful. But I am not perfect, and any Christian that tells you that they're perfect is not. They're lying, okay? I came from a background where I idolized food. And when I was transitioning into worshiping the true idol to worshiping God, that's when things were getting better. But I fell back into my old habits. The summer after my first year of graduate school, I went through a breakup, I guess, but we weren't really in a relationship. I don't know. Women, don't get yourself in undefined relationships. They are not healthy. But anyway, I went through a breakup, whatever you want to call it, and I went back to eating. Amidst the tears and crying and praying, I was eating, and so I ended up gaining back weight, 10 to 15 pounds over the summer. And then when I got back to school, or when I got back into my, I can't do this to myself again, I started working out again, and so here I am now. I've lost all of that weight. I'm now 40, almost 50 pounds down from when I graduated in 2012, and I still have a long way to go, and it's still hard. When I'm stressed, when I'm bored, when I just need comfort, my first thought still goes to food. Not always. Now that as I strengthen my relationship with God, I realized that He is what I need to fill my voids with. He is my support system. He is my confidant. I recently just finished a fast where I had no dairy, no sugar, only whole wheats, no meats, only fresh fruit and vegetables, no processed foods, and I lost weight during that time. But more importantly, the thought of cheating on that fast hurt me. It physically ached my heart, because the last thing I wanted to do was be a distaste in God's mouth. And what I learned from that fast was how much I love God, how much I want to please Him and stay true to my covenants that I make with Him. But more importantly, I learned that how I love God, I need to learn myself. I should not counteract stressful or negative situations by doing more negative things to my body. Right? And that's eating food. I don't have a problem with exercise. I exercise regularly. The fallbacks come with food. And so I challenge you all to look at what you're filling your voids with. This is the case whether you have a food addiction like me, or you compensate your problems with food like I do, or whether you have a drug addiction, whether you have a sex addiction, whether you have an exercise addiction. There's so many things that we can fill voids with that aren't God, and that's idolatry. That's a sin. And you're never going to fill that hole. You're always going to be empty. That is why throughout all these years of eating and being overweight and being teased and filling these holes with food, I was never fulfilled. I was never content. I was never satisfied, because the only thing that can really satisfy you is God and your service to God, His love for you, and you turn it to Him when you have problems. But I really wanted you all to challenge yourself to see, what are you filling your voids with? Is it God, or is it something else? And this is an ongoing struggle that I have. I have not overcome this. I have not. So, until next time, this is Missbuttahb. Peace and blessings.